Okay, 3249. This is probably the first of two intro videos for Module 1, corresponding to the first week of our 6-week summer course. In this video, I'm going to go over predominantly the reading that you're going to do before I break off and do another video talking about the assignments that you will have coming up this week and throughout the semester. In that other video, we'll also talk a little bit about your midterm and about your final project. So, looking at the overview for Module 1, I break down just what it is I expect of you. In a way, this video is kind of redundant. I just provide it for people that like listening to my nasal Midwestern accent and habit of talking too fast. There's nothing really in here I don't think that you couldn't get from reading the overview. But who knows? Maybe I'll surprise you, and if nothing else, you can sit there staring at the pretty flashing lights of your computer, pretending to do work, and that way everybody will get off your back, because you can say, I'm watching an instructor's video, and I provide that service free of charge. All right, so let's look at what it is I expect you to read this week. If you have already found this video, then you have already figured out module navigation, so that's great. You probably have, depending on how Canvas is set up for you, I want to say you're going to have something like 8 or 9 modules altogether. 6 of them are actual course modules. 6 of them, numbered 1 through 6, corresponding to weeks 1 through 6, are all about doing the work that is required for this course. In Module 0, you see some supplemental information that should hopefully get you started. The big idea is one of the pages, and it talks about just the bare bone basics of what it is we're trying to do. Now, that document, the big idea document, is really more for a 15-week class, which has a slightly more involved programmatic sequence. This one gets cut a little short, just owing to the fact that this is a short class. So I still think it's pretty useful, though, because we talk about what you're going to do, learn how to compose, you're going to apply for a job, and then you're going to do work. So really, that's what we're trying to do, is to emulate that workplace experience with this course. There is a why groups and why public speaking document. These things are really important. One thing I would add to this, though, again, for one, I think these are really important skills, and I believe in them. People who succeed in the workplace are people that can work in a team and people who can communicate well. Having had my share of professional experience, the person who can't do these things, it doesn't matter how good you are at your craft. If you can't communicate that to others, and if you can't do it with others, it's not going to get you very far. And I've seen this throughout IT, throughout copywriting, to a lesser extent in development. That's not where my professional experience lies. Technical writing and information technology, specifically Tier 1, Tier 2 desktop support. Even then, who got ahead in my departments? It wasn't necessarily the best writer in when I was doing copywriting, and it wasn't necessarily the best technician when I was doing desktop tech. It was the person who could communicate, the person who was personable, and the person who could bring in a team when they had to. So the same is really going to go for your career as well. The one thing in that document I would really call your attention to is in the regarding group work statement. I have a quote from former senior level Googler Jonathan Zunger. I think you should read it, and I think you should take it to heart. The key point, the large bulk of your job is about coordinating and cooperating with other groups. That's certainly true once you get beyond entry level. At entry level, you are essentially going to be asked to do certain tasks. You're going to be supervised heavily. However, if you want an actual career, you have to move beyond that. And that's a big part of what this class is for. So looking at the more specific Module 1 content, you're going to see there's a welcome and overview document, which once again stresses the importance of group work and of public speaking. Notably, I have a link to the NACE, that's the National Association of Colleges and Employers, who frequently put communication and teamwork in their list of skills to have. The 2016 report, I think, is the one that I linked to in here, because it's just, these are recycled notes, and I've been using them for a while. But I do have the updated one that rates teamwork and written communication way above technical skill. So yeah, again, you know, these are worth paying attention to because you need to know this stuff, and also these are going to be quiz questions. So definitely zoom in on that. Once we get into the into discussion notes 2 and 3, we are talking about the meat and potatoes of this course. We are talking about workplace correspondence. The first half of this summer course deals with letters, memos, and job docs. And these are all fairly related. These are the basic units of interoffice correspondence. The memo is a department-wide document. The email is an informal document, either for individuals or for departments. And the letter is a relatively formal document authored for an individual. Even when they're authored for classes, we still try to write them as if we were writing them to one person. And the distinction takes time to develop. You have to learn how to develop sort of an ear for the writing. And I know that sounds a little silly. You know, we say, well, we write it and we read it. We don't listen to it. Writing still has a voice. Writing still has a tone and a style. One thing I like to say is that the written word is basically sheet music for this big meaty wind instrument. And if you think of it that way, you do understand that writing has if not a melody, then certainly a tune, if you will. All right, so in that Module 1 Discussion Notes Part 2, I provided you with some guidelines for letters and memos. We're not really going to get into memos until next week. This week is about the letter. This week is about that most basic unit of correspondence, which precedes or predates all others. If you've written a letter before, which is an increasingly rare skill, then some of this will be repetitive, some of this will be familiar. If you haven't, this may be your first time writing a letter, and I would encourage you to really zoom in on the Discussion Notes Part 2. Discussion Notes Part 3 gives you more concretized examples, and it asks you to think about different types of letters, how these things would sound and how they would perform based on different letter writing occasions. So how would you write a letter if you were offering somebody a job? What if you were laying somebody off? What if you were rolling out a new product? What sort of things would you need to know? And what sort of things would you want to convey? This is where we also really start talking about the you attitude. That's what Markel and Selber call it. Anticipating the reader's needs and meeting them on their turf. One thing you'll hear me say throughout this course, it's not about what you want to say, it's about what your reader needs to know. And if you can put yourself in the reader's shoes, then half your work is done. So beyond the module notes, I do have a reading list for you. Obviously, you should and will read the course syllabus. You've got 3 chapters out of your Practical Strategies for Technical Communication book. Please note that Chapter 2 I will not quiz you on, but you should read it anyway. On any given week, you're going to have between 2 and 4 textbook chapters to read. By the end of this course, you will have read basically the entire Markel and Selber text. I would encourage you to revisit your reading habits and understand how to read at the collegiate level. Our basic paradigm of skim, read, skim again is going to be very useful to you. So skim the entire chapter that you're being asked to read, get a sense of how long it is, how dense it is, what is expected of you as a reader, and then zoom in on the important parts. Again, the reading quizzes are designed to help you do that. So a word to the wise, read actively and really consider how long it takes you to digest a text. I have a couple things for you here also. There's a list of on and off campus resources. You study your best when you are actually taken care of, and those resources are here to help you do that. Links to the library, links to the food pantry, links to the medical center, everything else that you might need as a student. There are 3 additional pieces of reading. They are short articles. One is a WikiHow article, which ought to help you with your minor project this week. One is on how to write a memo. That's going to be more relevant next week, but you should still have a look at it. And then you've got a list of 15 email etiquette rules that every professional should follow. And I think you will find those helpful, not just in the workplace, but in corresponding with your classmates and your professors. Final thing in your reading is a letter about letters. This is something I wrote for another course. This is a 3213 document, but boy, it applies here as well. you can see letter writing at work. It is a well-formatted, professional letter with an enclosure, and I think it's something that you might want to have a look at for the letters that you're going to write yourself. All right, this is already a 10-minute video. Let me go ahead and knock off. Hopefully I haven't lost you. I'm going to come back with another video. For me, it'll be just a second. For you, you can play them back to back, and you'll pretty much emulate the experience. Regardless, I'm going to talk about your projects in that next video. So come right back, watch that one, and I'll see you then.